And we're live once again, Profiteers. How are you doing today? The Soaring Profiteer, you know who we are. We did a live last night all about the market, and we learned how to make a lot of money. Can't wait. Tonight at 9, we're going to be talking with Mike. And so today, right now, we were just going to talk about, when you do stuff, when you have goals, and when you start achieving things, sometimes it feels like it doesn't do anything, like it just leads to nowhere. But you really don't know what effect you have. And I'm going to tell you a story that's going to lead us into this a little bit, and then we'll discuss it. So long time ago, when I was a young man, there was this young lady on the kindergarten yard, and she was sad. She was sitting by the fence. She was all alone, no one around. And so I went over to her and I said, she was very shy. And I asked her how she was doing. And she said she had no one to play with. So there was a girl in the yard, very upbeat, very social, very everything. And I walked over to her and I said, come with me. And I introduced them and said, do you mind playing with her? And they said, yeah. I walked away, forgot about it. Didn't even think about it ever again. I've done this quite a few times. I always, when I see if I ever see a child on a yard that looks sad, I try to join them up with, link them up with someone who's an extrovert. And it
so
it
for those who don't know, James works in the school board. He's not just some creep that walks by. Like, hey, little girl, how are you?
I was pretty sure that the profiteers already knew that, but if you don't, yes, I work for a school. So
if it's your first time, welcome.
And here's how we started. So that would have been, they were 5 years old. So around graduation time, grade 8. So you're talking, that would be grade 8 would be 9 years, right? Roughly. I was talking to the young ladies again, and they asked me if I remembered that moment. And I said, I'm really sorry, I don't. And so they became best friends and were inseparable from that moment on. And so if you think about how that lifted that other young lady, the one that was in the corner sad, if no one had have noticed her, no one had to talk to her, no one had to link her up, what would her life be like? Would she be more of a wallflower? Because she wasn't. She was like expressive. She was out there. She was very social. So what I'm saying is that we often do things that mean nothing to us. Like you might be walking, and I talked about this, I was talking about trifecta, mind, body, and soul. And I was saying to lift your soul, you should go, it's in the domino effect journey. You can check it out, 7-day journey. To lift your soul, part of that journey is to tell random people great things about them. Maybe they wrote something really cool. They have great art. Even, you got a pretty scarf, you just don't know what that's going to cause later on. You say to them, wow, you have a great scarf. I love that. It really brings out the color of your eyes. And that changes their mood. And so they move on to the next step, and maybe they change someone else's mood. Or maybe they're going to an interview. You don't know what they're doing next, right? Maybe they're walking to an interview and they get the job because that one comment you gave them a lift, and they walked into the job confident and upbeat, ready to go. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that we don't often know, what we create, what we're doing. Pat and I right now, we're still in the baby steps of soaring profits. We don't know who we're going to affect. We don't know who we're going to drive. We don't know, we don't know if Pat's making people money. I know that both Pat and I have gotten, personal messages from the profiteers telling us how they've been helped, so obviously we are helping, the smaller group that we have right now. And I look forward to that in the future. And it's all like little things that we do, like little lessons that we've learned. And I just think that's some exciting stuff. And I think the more we do stuff like that, especially now when we're in an economy that's bad, we're in a place where mental health is probably the worst it's been in quite a while, and it's going to get worse. That, we need to start these ripple effects. We need to start these little motions that lift each other up, because it's so easy to tear each other down.
Right. No, it's funny that you say that, though, because again, I've watched in my personal life, I've watched you in action, and I've watched the way that you do that, and that you do really pick people up in those situations. Like we were out for having a lunch the other day, and the waitress came along, and you just like jumped in, and you're like, how can I take 10 seconds with this person and like pick them up, push them like over the top? and you're like, hey, like, you're fantastic. I really appreciate everything you did for us today. You're great. And she took like this immediate like negative connotation. She's like, oh, I wish you'd tell somebody that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, who would you like me to tell? I'll go in the back right now. I will talk to the manager. I will talk to the chef, like whoever you want, with a smile on your face, like you're joking, right?
Yeah.
And you could see where she was just like, wow, right?
Yeah, her whole attitude did change.
Totally. Yeah. So
and when he came back a couple of times later, she was like more bouncy, more alive, more. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
No, it really is a dynamic thing that I've watched you do personally in your life. And then even in times with me, you watch me when I go into a store, I chat people up at the counter, and I do it for both. Like, I do it the economic reasons that I want to find out and learn stuff from everybody I'm talking to, but I also do it as in like this social, it's a bit of a social experiment. Can I get that person who has just been a miserable person on their 900th customer today to be like, hey, that was fun, right?
Yeah. What you do when I watch it, because I've seen it quite a few times when we're shopping and stuff, you engage them in such a way that it's not just, hey, do you have larger size? You engage them in.
Well, why would I need a larger size, James?
I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. You've been eating a lot of chocolate almonds lately. I'm just saying.
Where are they? I was being nice. I wasn't even eating them on camera, you bastard.
I know, because I complained. But you engage them, and not only that, like quite often the manager or sometimes the owner you'll be talking with, and you can see them like open their mind to what you're talking about, because sometimes you ask them questions that they haven't thought of, and you can see that growth in them. And it's kind of interesting because they could go from your conversation, quite literally, I've watched them. They could go from your conversation and streamline their business a little differently, because the questions you ask are unbelievable, are very like thoughtful.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Sorry?
Especially at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes.
Why don't you guys do this?
Well, there was that one conversation with that young barmaid, because she had some extra time, and she sat down. Remember, you called her over to the table, and you're like, what would it take? What would it take for us to open a bar? We finance you. What would it take? And you saw her wheels spinning, and she was like super excited about it. And she started spreading ideas of what it would actually take for her to run our bar, right? She knew it wasn't like, well, there was a little bit of it real, but there was a little bit of, her like.
I'm still quasi interested. I just got to figure out if we're going to go into a recession that's going to be like,
right. Yeah.
Bread is really expensive. So like
let's go get drunk.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Or is this going to be something that is going to be somewhat, and I hate to use the term, but transitory, right? That we're going to hit and then bounce. I don't know
if that conversation sparked her into thinking about, moving up, doing more, because she's been there for years serving alcohol, right? So maybe now she'll look into moving on, doing the next step. We don't know what things we do when we're positive to other people or thought-provoking even,
right?
How that affects, how that ripples, like a simple thing like it's happened to me. It's the funnest thing in the world. You're at Tim Hortons in the drive-through lineup, and the car in front of you buys you a coffee, and you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. It just picks you up a little bit.
Yep.
I agree.
That was great marketing by Tim Hortons.
Yeah, thanks. Market placement. We're not getting residual checks for that yet, but Timmy, if you're interested, I'll start drinking coffee every day right here.
Perfect.
I'll love to do that.
Some sort of and again, that's where I'm kind of at right now is that what is my next move, right? With everything that's going on. And it's funny, the more and more I talk about that, real estate has always been my, kind of interest. And it's like, I just don't know what the return's going to be like. So as we're, looking and growing and developing and continuing doing what Soaring Profit's going to be, I'd like to do that. I'd like to break down some interesting concepts and interesting deals, talk with some of these agencies that are out there, and see what there is, as far as growing that. So, there's some interesting stuff that's coming down the pipe.
I know at lunch the other day, you and I and our other friend there, we were all talking about businesses and what businesses we can get into and what would make money and what wouldn't, and some exciting stuff coming down the pipes. It's just like you said, if we hit recession hard, what business will still be okay?
Right.
Because there will be businesses that will not be okay. Like we're not opening a laser tag, for example, because that's not going to be okay. Not a lot of people probably going to go to laser tag, you know. But
yeah, that's you're very true. Laser
a
tag
bar,
is the one that comes to mind, but it's a good one. Like you're learning, like you have really picked up the concepts that we've been chatting about here for the last little while.
man,
Laser
I've learned a lot from you. I say that all the time to the profiteers out there that just hanging out with this guy, I learned the good stuff and a little bit of the bad, which we were talking about earlier off camera.
You were using at work that you were unable to talk about.
What word I was using, like ketchup? Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, no. So some interesting stuff coming up. So like another offshoot, I came up with this idea about us going to businesses and just have Pat do what he does, so you guys can watch it because it's some interesting stuff. Talking to different businesses and getting that on the ground, like how CPI and PPI.
Good. He's good.
Affecting the real life shopper, how's it affecting the businesses? And I just thought that would be super interesting. So I pitched it to Pat there, and he streamlined it a little bit. So that's another aspect that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
But these are all ripple effects, right? Pat comes up with an idea, gives it to me, and we bounce it off each other, and then we put it out there to you. And who knows what it does for you? Who knows if you guys go, we start teaching business, what these different businesses and stuff like that. And one of you gets inspired to do a business. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, if you go out every day and you're negative, you're impacting the world negatively. And that's just as powerful as going out there positively. If you go out there negative and you're hard on the cab driver and you're hard on the waitresses and you're hard on your colleagues, you're bringing each other down.
Right.
And that's a ripple effect too.
Yeah.
And that causes problems. But if you go out and you make an effort to be positive, not only do you feel positive, it ripples positive. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's amazing what you can create without you knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so as far as our ripple effect tonight, we're doing a live, right?
Tonight we're doing it live, and it's going to be exciting. This is good. This is a guy that started a new kind of venture podcast. He's still in the works of exactly what it's going to be, but he's done a couple. I love them. They're great. It's him and his wife. They're an adorable couple. Holy crap, are they adorable? The last one, they went to an island, and there were donuts on it, yummy donuts. And they were just showing people around the island. It was great. Another one, they were on a beach, this secluded beach that not many people know about. It's going to be interesting. He knows a lot about that stuff, and he also knows a little bit about business. So I think he and Pat will have like a really interesting conversation about business and finances and stuff like that. I'm not sure where he sits on the political scheme yet, but that could be interesting too.
There you go. Well, I think, like what we've been building this out as is that, interesting content, the dinner table chat. And I think a lot of people have really enjoyed what we're doing. And if we can bring interesting people on, have these little conversations as we get more and more traction, or, I call it traction, but it goes back to that ripple effect, like you're saying.
Yeah.
When we had Mike on last week with our Reiki stuff, this gave us the opportunity to now pull this new mic. We have Mike squared, maybe even Mike cubed.
2.0.
Yeah, 2.0.
Yeah.
That's where we keep rolling with this. So as we have these new innovative people coming that allow us to have these conversations, we grow and we learn different cues and little things, right?
That's
For
right.
instance,
in 2 weeks. Did you say yes? 9 p.m. There we go. We're learning little things. There it is.
Look at that.
So then in 2 weeks, because we're going to do lives every 9 p.m. Thursday nights, like religion, new guests every time. We're hoping to get this woman who's a great businesswoman coming in, but if we don't get her, we'll pivot to someone else. We're still negotiating in the works.
Well, I'm sure she'll do it, whether it's next weekend or it'll be the one or two afterwards. I'm sure she'll do it. It just,
and we have some exciting ideas. Like we have a lot of, like we talk about, the people around you love it. Do it again. the people around you rise you up. Like I talk about that in the 7-day, the domino effect. You want to gather around you people who are goers, who are getters, who are doing things. And these are the people we're bringing on. These are our personal, we know them.
Yeah.
And they are achievers. People are doing things, that are trying things in the real world, making mistakes, but succeeding anyway. And because we know them, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
They raise us up, and hopefully we can raise them up a little bit too. And I'm just so excited about the show. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it too, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Well, again, 9:00 this evening. Check us out, Soaring Profits with Mike 2.0. And as always, I'm sure we'll dive into some cool stuff. Thank you again. Like, subscribe, and share. Check us out. Somebody hit the bell. Like when we do this stuff at night here, we just kind of pop on. James is working on some interesting stuff as far as making it a little easier for you guys to listen to us on your commute. So to be able to access us through
Spotify. Yeah,
right?
I'm just trying to figure out all the logistics because it's new to me. But once I do, then we'll start flying these out so you can listen to us while you're driving and working. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that is one of the things that bogs us down, I think, right now is that our content is a little bit hard to jump on because you need to have your phone open unless you have a premium subscription, right? So here's my plug. Get a premium subscription to YouTube. We likely just became millionaires. I'm just saying.
We probably did because we were saying premium subscription to
YouTube.
Because then you can turn off your phone.
Say it again.
Premium subscription to YouTube. Because then you can turn off your phone and then it still runs.
Because you have a
premium subscription to YouTube. Yes. YouTube, are you hearing this?
I'm just waiting for my banking app to ping.
It's going to ping. We're going to get that email soon, that residual check. I hear it comes in the mail without you knowing, so I can't wait. Yeah.
Did we use your address or my address for when we
signed? My address for everything, man. You'll never know. I set up everything, so I'm sorry.
Oh, interesting little thing tonight. I had 3 separate real estate agents come to knocking on my door this evening.
Yes.
I did not include this on the earlier talk that we had kind of about the market.
Right.
That is a sure as shit sign of
getting desperate.
Real estate stuff.
Yeah. They're getting desperate. I have noticed that too. Like on my feeds and stuff like that. They've turned from we basically can do no wrong to now we have to sell ourselves. Yeah. It's happening a lot.
Yeah.
There's a pivot for sure. Yeah.
All right, pal. Well, let's leave that for right now. Folks, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share. You help us grow this channel. You help us to get some traction. Then we can spend some money. We can really kind of bring you the next level of stuff. Yeah. Whether that's going to be Spotify, whether that's going to be bribing people to come on, maybe with a beer sometime. That's what we do. So
buy some microphones, maybe some better camera equipment. I can maybe travel someplace better than Athens. I don't know.
I don't know. Like we've been all over Greece now.
We have,
We know what you want.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? If you take anything from this little conversation we had, just go out there and be positive. Right. Just spend, even if it's an hour a day, go out of your way. Fake it till you make it. And I'm telling you right now, you start that positive vibe in your workplace. If you own a business, most of all, if you own a business and you're the boss, walk in there positive and it'll change the whole place.
Yeah. So there's always a saying that my father used to talk about, and he'd be like, walk in there like you own the place.
Yeah.
And there's a couple times I've looked around, I'm like, I do own the place.
This is it. We own it.
It's kind of a nice feeling.
Yeah.
But no, it is. It's a confidence thing. When you walk in there and you just hold yourself up, and it's a different way of living your life. So I appreciate that. Pal, as always, try to make some money together, folks. And we'll chat with you guys tomorrow night.
Yeah, and let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.